So today we're going to be given a new scenario in which we'll be writing and solving an equation to find some unknown values. So the first thing we know is that Sophia spent $21 more. I do that every time, don't I? Sophia spent $21 more than Amani did at the math store. I love the math store, one of my favorite places. So of course we ask ourselves, what comes first? Which thing don't we know first? Well, if Sophia spends $21 more, then that means we need to know Amani's first. So we'll say let D, remember we can use whatever variable we want, let D equal the amount of money Amani spent. Of course, we know it's at the math store. They're all going to the math store, which is Mrs. De Silva's favorite place. So anyway, Sophia spent $21 more than Amani. So I know more means I'm going to add. So D plus 21 equal the amount of money Sophia spent. And we know that it's Sophia's birthday, so she probably has extra money to spend at the math store. Lucky her. Now, Hunter spent twice as much as Sophia. Wow. So we know that Sophia spent D plus 21, and we're going to spend twice as much as that. Well, Hunter is. And of course, as we see here, he wanted to spend so much more than that at the math store, everybody's favorite store. So we know that twice means we're going to multiply by 2, and the thing we're going to be multiplying by 2 is D plus 21, so therefore that needs to be in parentheses. So let 2 times the quantity of D plus 21 equal the amount of money Hunter spent. And again, we know he was sad because he wanted to spend so much more, especially at the math store, but he didn't have any more money to spend there. So, we know we're writing 4 expressions, and we've also been given this other information about how much they spent altogether. So, that tells us that our last expression is going to be to add or find the total of all of these expressions. So I'm going to have remember, I find a total by adding, so it's D plus 21 plus 2 times the quantity of D plus 21. Now that equals the total they spent at the math store. Okay, so we've written all of our expressions. We've done so using the let statements, so it's very clear what each of them stands for. So let's see what's next. Solve the equation you wrote to find how much money each person spent at the math store. Oops, let me fix that. I want to make a beautiful heart around math store again because it's everyone's favorite store. So whenever we write an equation, we know we're going to have total equal to total. We're going to have our total that's in its equation form, or excuse me, their expression form, set equal to the actual amount that we were given. So we've got D plus 21 plus 2 times the quantity of D plus 21, and that's going to be equal to the other total that we were given, which was 203. Now we do know that we need to combine like terms here, but we should notice that before we can combine like terms, that we need to address this right here, because there's nothing that can be combined there until we take care of those parentheses. So we're going to send that 2 over the top inside, using our distributive property, here we go, woo! Isn't it fun? Woo! Again, so that's 2 times D plus 2 times 21. 2 times D, of course, is 2D, plus 2 times 21 is 42. And that is, in fact, on this side, equal to 203. And coming back this way, filling everything in. I know it looks funny when I write backwards. You don't have to write in this order if you want. But we need to make sure that we've brought everything else down, which we did. Then we addressed our distributive property here. So now we can box and underline. So I've got D plus D. Both of those have our variables, so I'm going to box those in. Plus 21 is a constant, so it's going to be underlined. Plus 2D, that needs to be in a box. Plus 42 is underlined. So inside the box, I've got D plus 2D plus 21 plus 42. D plus D, that gives us 2D, plus 2 more D's, gives us 4 D's altogether, plus 21 plus 42. 21 plus 42, well, 20 plus 40 is 60, 1 plus 2 is 3, so that's plus 63 equals 203. Here we are with this very straightforward problem that we need to solve, asking ourselves what's the opposite? Opposite of plus 63 on both sides is minus 63. These cancel out over here. I've got 4D equals 203 minus 63 leaves me with 140. I'm going to bring that over here because obviously I've run out of room. 4D equals 140. What's the opposite of times 4? Well, of course, that's divide by 4. Divide both sides by 4. These cancel. I'm left with D equals 140 divided by 4. Well, I still don't need a calculator for that. I know that half of 140 is 70, and half of that again is going to be 35. So that's how I would find 140 divided by 4, so D equals 35. Now I still have to find out how much money each person spent at the math store. So I know that D is equal to 35, and I now just need to substitute in to each of the expressions that we wrote earlier. I've got Amani that I'll start with. I know that Mani spent D. I know that D is equal to 35. I substitute that in very simply. Amani spent $35. Next is Sophia. Like we said, it was Sophia's birthday, so she was lucky enough to have some extra money. So she spent D plus 21. D is equal to 35. I substitute in 35 plus 21. Well, 30 plus 20 is 50. 5 plus 1 is 6, so that's $56. Next we have Hunter. Hunter was the big spender at the math store, I imagine because he's been saving up because it's his favorite store too. The expression for Hunter's money spending was 2 times the quantity of D plus 21. I know that D is equal to 35. I substitute in 2 times the quantity of 35 plus 21. Well, I have to do what's inside parentheses first. 35 plus 21 is 56. I know I'm going to be multiplying that times 2. 2 times 56. Well, 2 times 50 is 100. 2 times 6 is 12. So Hunter spent $112 at the math store. Lucky him. Okay, and I do have all of these amounts here, but I probably, or definitely, should check to see if it makes sense. I know that the total altogether that they spent was 203, so 35 plus 56 plus 112 should equal 203. And let's make sure it does. 35 plus 56. Well, 30 plus 50 is 80. 5 plus 6 is 11. So 80 plus 11 is 91 plus 112. 91 plus 112. Well, 110 plus 90 more is 200. And 1 plus 2 is 3, so that's 203. I'll bring this down. 203 is in fact equal to 203, so I know that this tells me that my answers above must be correct. Nice job.